All right, let's call this pre-council and final budget workshop to order. Public comments. Don't see any. So we'll jump right in with number one, next week's financial report. Joy?
There's not a lot. The one thing I do have to announce is, it's good news, but it's not in this report, is today, the $3.5 million hit the bank.
What?
So, yes.
I don't believe
Oh, that makes you good.
Yes, very exciting news. So, so there's that, and really just the rest of it looking pretty normal. I think street went down one day, but you know that's not really in the grand scheme of things. One day here or there, I'm not overly worried. We're right on track with our sales tax. It could be better, but it could be worse. Trying to think what else. Does anybody have any questions on the report? I went ahead and left the mock-ups of the cash reserve policy in this version so that if you guys wanted to discuss them tonight, but they won't be in the version for next week. So we're not officially putting that in there until January. But since I kind of view this pre-council as like our time to discuss, so I left them in there. So, did anybody?
Was it on the online version?
Mm-hmm. It's in red on the sides next to, and it'll probably we'll probably keep it in red for all of next year.
Yes, just to highlight it.
I think it's a nice comparison to be able to watch it.
Right.
Something there. Mm-hmm. I like it.
So, no questions on the monthly? Do y'all want a little bit of time to look it over? I'm not trying to rush you, huh?
I started looking at it today, but I'll look at it more before the meeting.
It's okay. I'm not trying to rush anybody tonight. I've just been on kind of rush mode all day. So I need to slow down. I'm here now. So, was there anything else that in October?
Very.
As far as the contingencies, this maybe what Phil, I know that we had talked a little bit about like some of the capital improvements and those things, and having a better idea as to like what those numbers would actually look like. Have we made much progress with that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Making progress slowly.
Yes.
Department heads are working on it, but we're not far enough along to, don't feel confident enough in it to show you anything yet. So we're just keeping those placeholders there. Yep.
For the next one? Okay.
Yeah, what's next?
So the next one, you probably definitely will have questions on the next one because it's kind of such a work in progress. But, and I did not get a chance to print out and bring with me Trish's workup on animal control, but I can pretty effectively speak to, like obviously the large $2 million. I'm adjusting Bryant Parkway. We had hoped to spend all that money this year, and it looks like we're not going to spend the last. I put 1.7 into the 2025 proposed budget, which is a document later, and I'm reducing this by that $2 million. I mean, they're not exactly even, but because my estimates are just estimates, but so that's what that is moving that from taking it out of this year's and put it in next year's proposed. And then, let's see, office supplies, you know, I did a reclass on that one, and I don't think that the West Point, it's on here right now, but it's probably not going to be here on that night because we still don't have the definite numbers. But if you want to know what I mean, you can see in your report what it looks like at the end of October, and I think at the very last page of what I uploaded, hang on just a second, let me see if it came through. Yes, The very last page of what I uploaded for the budget adjustments is what it looked like through the date of that report, which was the 6th, just a few
So what
days
page-
ago.
What page is that on that chair?
The last page of what was support for the budget adjustment, item number 2, and it looks like this. And it is, if I run the report that I use to tie it out for the month, like I run it at the last day of the month, and obviously there's some things we booked to the last day, and this was me running it through the end of the year, but on the 6th of November. So it had a different amount. See the 245,700 and the 242. That's what we had in the system for all the way through, after October 31st, through the first 6 days of November. Does that make sense?
I'll show you on, yeah.
So it's right, it's your
Okay, I see that.
professional services dash other line, and that's,
So this is what you were talking about when you said categories.
mhm.
See, we had no way of knowing, or I didn't know that category meant this West Point project. I mean,
Well-
we wouldn't have had any way of knowing that it was in this group of stuff.
Well, if you,
I mean, I would know it was up, but I wouldn't know that that's where.
but typically, and just for you guys, just, kind of knowledge or whatever, unless there's some reason, if any of these categories are over, on that month, I bring you an adjustment, unless I think there's a reason why I shouldn't. Like, for instance, Keith's not here tonight, but I had told him, hey, you're over by $400 in this one category, just $400. And he said, I think that we accidentally did 2 purchase orders for the same thing, and I think one of them needs to be deleted out of the system. So can we not change that, or not do that? And I said, sure, yes, let's not do that one. But otherwise, if it goes over, I bring it to you guys in the month, either before, ideally before it goes over. If not, then in the month that it goes over. Because that's when, by law, you guys adopt the budget, like 2025's budget, you adopt it by category. So, that's how I have to bring it. Like, if he had, like, for instance, if there was a whole bunch of money in 5553 and it offset that 245, then I would not have to legally bring a budget adjustment to you guys. With the department head, we can make that budget adjustment in the system because it's not over in the category. But if it goes over in the category, then it comes back to you guys.
That's interesting.
So, in your budget document, when you look at the different departments and you see like professional services, that's the category. You're adopting it, because you aren't adopting a line item by line item budget. I don't think we've done that since maybe 2018.
Right, but if we approve a certain amount for a project, and then that project goes over, and you can use money out of that department's budget, then we still have no idea that it went over.
If they can't, if they can and not do another project, because most of their lines are all spoken for. Like, and I've told you guys before, if y'all want to get a line item by line item to see the detail, I can run one of those for you at any time, or give it to you at any time. And you get all the detail every month. Like, I've kept that in my back. We talked about not having it, but we kind of always revert back to having it, even though it makes the report a lot longer. Then I feel like you guys have got that level of detail every month, whether you use it or not, And it's out there for the public to use if they want to use it or not. But if you want to see that level of detail for the proposed 2025, I can run that for you and send it to you. If y'all want it.
I don't know, I feel like it's easy to get lost in the weeds with that much information. One of the things that, we kind of talked, I mentioned it at council, but looking at maybe even if we did we started using the PO spreadsheet, right, where we said these were all the items that we allocated funds for, and then once the money's spent, it flags it in that month. And like for us, or for me anyways, I know that's really easy to read. And that's where I was kind of hinting at with maybe like for some of these bigger capital projects that span multiple months, like maybe we can look at doing something like that, to where we can say like, this is the amount that's been spent towards, like let's say we had West Point on there and we had allocated the 200,000.
I think the way that things fall not in that area is if they don't go into a 5800. And the reason why West Point wasn't in a 5800 is because 5800s in my world designates that it's going to become a city asset. And those aren't city assets, so they weren't capitalized. And that's how we, like in my world, if it's a project, now, there's certain things too, like if we do a study on something and we don't think, we have, in the accounting world, you have to really realistically think that something is going to come out of that, more of like a 50% chance before you can capitalize the study. So a lot of times we don't capitalize our studies. You know, just because in my experience, especially in government, we're allowed to do a study and then we don't have the money to do what it says for us to do. So like, I don't think we capitalize the Parks Master Plan. Because, you know.
Well, and I guess I use the word capitalize, or capital projects, but I mean, I think just like even a construction project, or a project where, you know, we put something out to bid, like even, I mean, we're going to get into looking at water towers and stuff, like those are big dollars.
So those will all be capitalized. They'll all, because they're going to become city assets.
Right.
So that's where I've talked to Lisa several times that it's hard from my standpoint and Crystal's standpoint in our world. There's a few of these things that don't make it into that, and then it looks like we're not giving you guys everything, but they didn't go into that level on our side of things. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So it's hard for us to, you know, like if she runs a report out of the system and she picks up everything that's in capital, you know, and she puts it on that report for you guys. So if it doesn't show up as capital, I mean, that's the hard part. Yeah. But I mean, we can definitely work with you guys, like maybe if there's something, you know, that you know about, like maybe the comprehensive plan is a good thing. It's mentioned a couple of times in the 2025 budget. Right now, there's no budget for it, but that's going to be an item that I'm certain will be over $35,000. You know, maybe we should make a list of those type of things that, you know, because we probably wouldn't capitalize that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
but it's a real, it's
things
hard.
you want to keep an eye on,
Yeah.
kind of highlight out of the budget.
And I think to me, it helps, it helps us, yes, but then I think it also would help the public too. Because I mean, it's hard when it's a line item, you know, like let them see what the dollars are going to and where we are with these projects. Because, you know, we get so much of that, like how much, where are we at with this project, where are we at with that, and like where are we, where's this money going to?
Bryant's getting so big.
In this project in particular, so it wasn't a budgeted project. So like on the front end, it was an emergency and stuff like that. So that's the reason why I feel that this is important, that we know how to keep up with this, because it wasn't a budgeted project from the get-go. Like, it was an emergency, things happen, we get that. So how do we keep up and keep this from happening again? Because I hear you, I understand everything you're saying, but how do we keep up? Because it's a rare circumstance, because the motion was up to $250,000. If we go over, come back. That was the motion. I went and listened to it again, just to verify. Because even on here, it says 100, the original budget's 170.
I think that was the project. If I remember, we had projected that, and we'd actually given a little bit of leeway as far as cost overruns and stuff, and that's why we did this 250.
Right, but
Well, but see, I haven't done an adjustment, because see, look at the current budget is only 180, so
Right.
it's only been brought up $10,000, and that's probably not, that's not related to West Point.
But my question is, why do we have 180 instead of the 250 when that was the max?
Because I didn't do that budget adjustment, because it was the max. If they hadn't needed it, the 250, like what I would need to bring you right now would be 243. I wouldn't need to bring you the full 250, because they didn't go over.
That's my, so, okay. The original amount that the council said was $250,000 for this project, okay? I'm trying to figure out where we came up with 180. Like, where was that number?
Well, it'll be like what, there's something in that line for this 2025 proposed budget. They always have something in their professional services.
So it just fell into place.
And that's
something
where
else,
we
so
put
they
it.
had
And I suggested putting it there
$180,000
because,
another project
Okay.
that essentially is getting replaced
Yeah.
by the West Point project.
I suggested putting it there because I didn't have a good place to put it where it wouldn't, because it is a project and it is construction, but it's not our
It's
asset.
not.
So I couldn't put it in a 5,800 line. So professional services other was kind of like, well, okay, that's as close as what I could get to where to put it. So that's where we put it.
So would you need a line item for special projects instead of this project, instead of professional, like,
Well, I think there's other problems with this West Point project. Based on the information I've gotten, there's more just in the way the whole project was executed. And that's the part that we need to fix, is how we executed that. You can say, I'm sorry, Mayor, you're at the top of the heap, but you don't run the place. Your department heads and city employees, they make it happen every day. You're a great face for the city, but you can't blame things on, you can blame, the mayor gets the blame, but there's a problem with the way things are done, and that's what's got to be fixed.
That project in particular, I can't speak to, all I'm saying, what I came into, I took care of, so I don't know really what you're talking about, but.
all I'm saying is we need to we got to figure out a better way to help you keep up with that particular kind of circumstance, because in case it happens again,
Well, one thing is, we do have the project model now. So Crystal, early days, if she identifies something that's a project that's not in capital, she's going to assign a project number to it, and then we can track it in the project model. We didn't have that in the old software.
This is the new thing you were talking
This is
about?
the new thing,
Okay.
yeah. So,
someone comes and says, hey, we got an emergency, and council says, you can have this amount of money, you can put that amount of money into that so you can watch it.
yes.
Okay.
Now,
Yes.
I could not when this one started. You know what I mean? But I can,
But
we
there's got to
can
be
now.
somebody watch it,
And
Watch it creep up.
I don't know that it is such a strange, right, 3 mayors.
Not questioning that.
Like, if something like this, I would have been hands-on from start to finish of it. If I would have been in charge of the project from the beginning to the end, right? That was part of the issue,
It starts with the first contractor that was paid in full for
And
their contract, but did not execute their contract.
And I did as you suggested. I went and talked to one of the other mayors,
good.
and they were in budget when they were there. So I'm not.
Yeah.
There's got.
The second contractor we paid until June, till you terminated.
That's
them
when
in June.
when I terminated that contractor and got a contractor in there to get it done, is when we went over.
Right, but we paid that one a tremendous amount of money. We could have bought a piece of equipment for what we paid
Sure.
them. And so,
And that-
who watches that? You get a piece of paper, oh, this looks just like last month's. No, does anybody ask questions?
I was watching that, I was asking questions. I was hopeful. I did not want to change contractors because I felt like it would take
When those
longer.
invoices started coming through before you became mayor.
So I'm just talking, so I was watching that. I met with the homeowners and I told them, my plan is to stick with him because I don't want to change and cause this to last longer. And they told me, that's a bad idea, Mayor. This isn't working. And so that's when I really started seriously looking for somebody who could get the job done and moving on. So
Do we have any, forget this project for a second. Like, let's say we're doing another project. When someone says they've completed the job, who signs off on the invoice, like physically signs the invoice and physically looks at the work and says, yes, they've completed that job and we can pay them?
Well, usually ours is not based on the invoice, it's based on the purchase order.
Well,
So the
whatever.
purchase order, whoever completes the purchase order in the system, and usually it's somebody in a department creates the purchase order, and then it goes to the department head to approve it if it's over, well, if it's any amount in the department. And then it goes to me if it's over $500. And now it's gonna go to Nicole if it's over $5,000. And each of those are approving it, but,
But do we have someone else,
We usually don't pay it until it's done.
yeah.
Until the job's done, you don't get your money.
but do we have someone on, boots on the ground, looking at
Like a
that?
project manager?
Yes.
We usually do, but what happened in this instance was, that we did in this instance, but it was not, how do you want to say that?
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just trying to
was,
figure
I was
out-
that person. I made that a priority, and I started meeting regularly with the contractor and the team. I was emailing the residents weekly, giving them updates.
And I know this was a special circumstance
there were a
because of everything
couple-
that's going on.
Yeah, there were a couple missed deadlines that started concerning me. So that's when I just got it, I got all the residents, but in a normal case, like when I was parks director, we never paid anybody until the job was done, inspected, and we were happy with it. So
like
that's the usual.
Each department head looks at whatever project that got going on, physically
Right.
signs it, okay.
Yeah, someone on their team. But I took this on,
But a
because
lot
it
of
was,
problems happened before you got here, to be perfectly honest. I mean,
But it started before him as being a mayor project. If you,
the mayor.
Oh, I remember
signed the
that, I
contract.
remember that conversation because of the circumstance.
yeah.
yeah. So it was out of the norm, almost pretty much from the get-go.
From the get-go. It was a mayor-driven,
But, say that first vendor emailed their invoices to somebody other than the mayor to be paid. I have the email.
but that
So
was,
they emailed it to this person, and this person stamps it, I guess. I don't understand how they signed off on something that wasn't a 14 by 28 pool.
they got
That's what the
approval.
contract was, for a pool, and we have 0 pool.
They got approval from the mayor.
Yeah, I mean, we
You
have.
don't-
To pay that?
Yeah, you don't, there's no way anybody would do that without the mayor's approval. I would never approve that. And I approved paying that second contractor just to move on. Just get, whatever we owe him, let's pay him and let's get this thing done. And I moved on to this person, Diamond Pools, and they were on it, man.
And I mean, we could probably, talk to Ashley and see if we have a case to try to get any of that money back if they didn't deliver, but that's a case of a litigation thing. That's going down a whole other road, that I'm not sure anybody wanted to do.
We should have a conversation.
Okay. But, so that one is on there, but it will not be on there that night because we don't have all the amounts yet. So, and then I'm trying to think, because there were some other things. Let's see. There's a lot for PD. PD has a drone that they have partially paid for by donations. And they would like to request from you guys for the rest of it to come out of savings. They
Just trying
have.
to get speeding tickets on the parkway, be a drone.
No radar on. That's the only thing that's not on it.
Do you, since you're here, do you want to just speak to your other items? I figured you did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still confused about PD.
Which part, which one are we talking about? The drone?
There's the drone, your exercise equipment, and your car, right? I think. And then you had something you emailed me about today or yesterday.
That's about 2025 budget. I don't think you might go there.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
tell
yeah.
us. It's 2025, we can
That's
wait.
the internal thing, that's one of the reasons that she's got here.
Okay.
The drone, so we had, one of our reserves, local businessmen collected $7,500 to go towards the purchase of a new drone. We have 3 drones They're all 4 to 5 years old. They're all also about to be unable to be used because there's a state law that was passed that you can't have drones that were manufactured in a certain country. Kind of everybody's were manufactured by DJI. They're the leading drone manufacturer in the world. But in Arkansas, at the end of 26, you can't use them at all anyway. This is an American-made drone. We're buying it off a co-op. We're only buying one drone because this is the drones we have right now are the smaller size. This is the large drone from Skydio. Has one of the best, so actually, according to them, it's better than we were going to look at one from FLIR. This has a better FLIR than what FLIR can put on their own because they have more capacitor capabilities on theirs. The ability to promote into it. I can send you a QR code and you can pop in and watch it while we're doing it as well. So the extra money is a budget adjustment to make up for what we don't have, which is the other $23,000, which, as always, I suggest take it out of our designated fund, so it's easier to take it out of general fund. So I have $750,000 in a designated, but we can take it out of general. I don't care where you take it from. We need the drone. Our drones are, they're old. Chasing those drones, a 5-year-old drone is not a good drone, to be honest.
So this budget adjustment form is confusing, because it lists the work equipment on there, which comes up to $30,000.
That's not the budget adjustment form that I did, though.
And then down here it says for the purpose of updating equipment, and then accompanied by a $10,000 donation for ARPAS, and I'm thinking, well, that's 40, I mean, so what are we, is the 10,000 paying for the drone?
So
No, they're totally separate items.
Yeah,
So the 7,500 was raised by the local businesses. The 10,000 was what was presented at the first responders luncheon the other day. And it's going toward the purchase of exercise equipment at the public safety building. There's a gym upstairs that's shared by the PD and the FD. The exercise equipment is well over 20 years old. It's older than the building because it wasn't new when it was put in there. So it's to replace that. It's a budget adjustment, 10,000 or 15. 15. But
So, but your invoice for your equipment is $30,000?
yes, the 30,000, there's a $10,000 donation, which, so the city's really paying 20. But for our line items, it has to be 15 and 15. She takes care of that on the back end where that donation goes in. It costs 30.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And let me just say, part of the reason why this is so confusing is we are 2 weeks early because we're a week early for Thanksgiving, and we're a week early because we don't, but prior to this year, we didn't do this pre-council. So, I mean, I was really under the gun, and everybody else was, to try to pull this together for tonight. And, I mean, we just couldn't quite get it there and make it be all of our ducks in a row. But that's what I'm saying. His 10,000 in donations probably needs to be on this sheet to offset this, but I didn't have it at the time that I made this, so I didn't put it on.
Okay, so,
I know, it is very
The city
confusing.
is truthfully only out $20,000.
yeah.
It'd
that's
be
what
a
I'm-
$10,000 line adjustment, 10,000 line adjustment, but it's really 15 because you got to take the money that's donated out of
For the
that
equipment.
line and put it in the other line because you can't, you have expense line items and revenue line items.
And then it's going to be $2,300 for the drone, or
The
$2,500.
drone's a totally separate thing. In reality, the city is spending $23,000. The other $7,500 is from donation. It's a $30,000 drone.
Oh, wow.
Cheaper than a helicopter.
Yeah.
I couldn't hire a helicopter pilot for $30,000.
Way more fun than a helicopter.
So,
This drone can fly in the rain. It can do all sorts. It's state of the art.
They can drop bombs.
Cannot drop off.
Can't shoot pigs from a drone.
I mean, you probably could. but you can't.
okay, so 23,000 for the drone, 20,000 for the exercise equipment, and the PD vehicle.
The vehicle, so we've explained this before, we have certain vehicles that we don't do through enterprise, like mine, the city owns it. A bunch of the vehicles that we approved a couple months, I don't remember, to sell, those were sold on Gov Deals. We're purchasing one with your permission from Everett. It's pushed, it's totally budget neutral. I'm not asking you for any money. the money that we sold the car and buy the new car.
So there's those three, and then also, there's,
We actually came out ahead.
yeah, permission in here
Even better.
to take $90,000 out of the 911 money, but we're still in negotiation. I emailed her, I didn't hear back. So I think that's your last item, if you want to.
So they send a bill for the first 9 months of service that they want to be paid, which I don't know why they just bill it for the year. But the only problem is, for me, is we weren't over there the first 9 months. We didn't go till March. So why would I want to pay you for 9 months of service when we were running our own at that time? So she's trying to get an answer on that. Because it clearly says on the invoice January through September, and I'm like, well, we didn't go till March the 5th, so.
Yeah,
I
so,
wouldn't pay. I wouldn't pay for a lawn service for 9 months, probably another 7.
so that's PD's, and they by far had the bulk of it, PD and fire, for items that are actually not budget neutral. They are the ones that they're asking you to take some money out of savings. I'm going to try and work with all the other departments. Theirs are pretty small amounts. Trish says a lot, but that she sent me today. You know, like I said, I got the one for office supplies, budget neutral. I got the ones for planning to be budget neutral. Parks, I think all of theirs are now budget neutral, and they're in the document. There was a $10,000 gain on the investment transfer for the ARPA money that's on there from 007-515, which is another part of the discussion for tonight. All of the street ones are budget neutral. So I guess just go, courts. Right now, I think courts, I need to help them find another $1,500, but I think that's just because I haven't had a chance to work with them on that, because they filled out their form for $6,000, but they really need $7,500 for their category. So, I know it's confusing, and I think that by the actual meeting, it will no longer be confusing. I'm going to attempt to have it all lined out, and I think we will get there. And I think, hopefully, the only things that will be on it that will not be budget neutral will be the ones that PD and fire just talked to you guys about.
But one of them is budget.
Yes, one of them is budget. So, let's see, we went through the general, we went through 07, 31s we did. The 182 is bond interest. The 188, 2 million we talked about. Streets budget neutral. We talked about West Point. We talked about, and the stormwater is the other side of the 007. So that's, I think that's all we have, which I know it's a lot, and I know it's confusing.
And the 10,000 investment transfer is going to where offset?
It is offset in that, see how one 10,000 is positive and the other one's negative? It's going into the stormwater. It's one of those transfer things. Oh, and there may be some for property insurance, 5120. I put that on in yellow, and I haven't had a chance to go through that. So it is possible that we might have to take some out of savings for increase on property insurance, which we have anticipated, you know. So I know that's a lot. Any other questions on that one before we go to the next one? Okay. So the next one's kind of related to that one item, because I just realized that, you know, several of you guys probably came on to council after we adopted the initial investment policy, so I put it on here for you guys to review it, but I did not get a chance to upload the notes. It's a committee made up of me, the mayor, and one other person in finance, which right now is served by Nicole Manley. And we met on, I think, November 7th. The notes are in here. But the gist of it is that we invested our ARPA money, and we made one change to it, and I brought that change to council quite a while ago. And then since then, we just let our investments ride and mature. And we made some amount of money, $30,000. It wasn't what I would have hoped we would have made doing this, but you know, the market was a strange time. So I've got this page that I actually, Nicole, do you mind making them a copy of this tonight?
It's in our
Oh, it's in
It's
your,
in there.
oh, it did
Yeah,
make it.
it did
Okay,
make it,
good. I
yeah.
thought I
It's in there.
had not put it in. Okay, great. Then this is where we met. And then also the policies in it, right? Did you guys get a full
Yes.
copy? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then everything did make it. Okay, so did anybody have any questions on that one?
I have a thought,
Okay.
just off the wall thought. Jackman,
Go ahead.
on your committee that you have you thought about bringing in, adding another person to the committee that's outside of city government, that's in the finance world, that would be,
You wouldn't want to bring anybody in, though, that then would not be, like, you would have to pay attention to that conflict of interest.
absolutely, you
Yeah.
would. I mean, I have somebody in mind.
I mean, at this point, part of the reason I'm bringing this to you guys is there's only $1.22 left. So unless we make a decision, and I would have to bring that back to you guys, we don't have anything to meet about for a while.
Okay, I mean, so we had a nice chunk with the ARPA money to invest, which was a wise decision. So before the ARPA funds, did we ever invest any of our, yeah,
That's why before I got ready to do that, I had to bring the policy to the council and have the council approve the
Yeah.
policy, because we had not ever done
we
that.
don't have enough access to,
No, we do now, and we could choose to do that as part of the reserve plan. And, you know, I think if we get into the year and the reserve plan's going well, I mean, I could bring that to you guys as a thought for some of those buckets, you know, but I'm not to that point yet, but that's kind of my thinking for why I didn't just bring this, but I brought the policy, because I wanted you guys to know that policy existed, and that how it kind of ties into the reserve plan. So I wouldn't anticipate that I would be ready, and I mean, somebody else, treat maybe like, you know, hey, Joy, drop what you're doing and do this, but I mean, I would not anticipate me being ready to do anything like that for the first quarter of next year. Because we got a lot going on in the first quarter. Yeah, I don't think we'll be where we want to be with the reserve plan, but possibly the second quarter. I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah, if we make some serious progress on our reserve plan and feel strongly that we know there's certain buckets that we're not going to touch, that we don't need to get liquid anytime soon, then we would come back and start having a conversation about it. But nothing quick, nothing, wouldn't do anything in a hurry.
and the only reason I brought that up, I mean, the two from finance are probably the financial wizards on that committee.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, just saying.
Fair.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm more than welcome to have, I mean, we
I'll
don't
have a
really meet.
conversation.
We don't really meet per se, but I mean, you know, because there wasn't anything to do after we made the initial
No,
one.
no.
But I'd be more than open to meet with whoever that had advice about it. I mean, I meet with the banks pretty regularly, like they bring stuff to us, and there's lots of different people that, you know, would be interested if we were to do this again, you know, so, if you've got somebody that you
Oh,
want.
I'll talk to you.
Mhm. Okay, good. Any more discussion on that one? Okay, now, in my opinion, we get to the big meat.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
My love, aside from the audit, the budget book draft. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but the meat is all there. Did anybody have any questions on it? There's a lot of like page numbers that need to be filled in and different things like that, but it's a good document. There's a lot there. We've added a lot this year. You know, we added copies of the annexation plan. We added a copy of the reserve plan. We added a new kind of a fund chart that's on page 28. It's new, just to sort of trying to show more how everything, we added the grants page this year. And then we're gonna have appendices for the water master plan and the parks master plan. There was one error that we found between last year's and this year's. There was a part-time animal position that was put in the numbers for 2024, but not in the org chart. And so you'll notice that that's highlighted because we've corrected our org chart, but it was in the numbers for 2023, so it's not an addition to the 2025 budget, it's just a correction on our org chart.
And you've got the GM, the 2 new positions.
Yeah, that's probably the piece that was missing as far as information.
And the reason it's taken us so long is because of the program we use to find ranges. We're still having conversations with that company. So it took us a little bit to make sure we got the ranges right on these 2 new job descriptions. But these are budgeted for in the 2025 budget.
And to be honest with you, I'm not sure that we're gonna get any resolution on that before we ask you guys to adopt this budget. And so we discussed it, I discussed it on page 31, and, was it 31? Yeah. And so, you know, we probably, we're just gonna continue to use our 2024 numbers until we figure out what to do about that. And we've got Arkansas Municipal League is helping us. Charlotte emailed with them just today, but we bring this back to you guys at the December council, and so since we've been struggling with them for the last 3 months or 4 months, I don't anticipate that we will get it resolved before we. So we put in up to 3% on a merit base and a 2% COLA, so hopefully that keeps us in line with the market. You know, I've asked around, that seems to be, you know, I mean, that's not totally off the mark. And so we're just crossing our fingers until we can figure out how to handle that. So we added the forecast this year. You know, it's based off of prior year numbers, and it's on page 32. I mean, it doesn't look great, I'll be honest with you, but we kind of knew that it wasn't going to look great because, you know, if you take prior year numbers and you take out things like the ARPA and the end of the A&P that have kind of helped us to augment increase in expenses over the last 2 or 3 years, that you're not going to have those going forward. It shows you guys what I've been saying, which is we've got to increase and diversify our revenues to keep up with the expense increases. So that's in there. Then we talk about, okay, these are our options for revenues on the next page, on page 33. And I do anticipate that there'll probably be like about a $5,000 or $6,000 increase or adjustment or change, however you want to look at it, but it'll be over several departments related to the Amendment 78, because when it's settled, it came in just a $5,000 or $6,000 difference from what I had budgeted. So I'm not going to change the whole document for $5,000 or $6,000, or I just bring that back to you guys as my first set of 2025 adjustments in the next year. Let's see. We got the jail thing went up by about 10,000. That's in here. I went ahead and adjusted for it. Let's see what else. We talked about the GM positions. I'm just trying to go through it and see if there were any other changes from this year to next year.
I can't think of anything.
The only capital that's approved when you approve this budget is the stuff for enterprise that's very, very limited, more so limited than it's ever been before. It's on page 82 and 83. And I say it's limited because instead of buying their equipment outright, we are going to do kind of the equivalent, but it's different on their side. So they'll have to bring all that back to you guys to get to do it, but it'll be paying for it over 5 years. So on the wastewater side, it's this amount where it says capital vehicles, page 82, 9 times 33 financed. So if they do that, just like the other stuff with bond council, they will have to come back to you guys and it will have to be put out. It'll be probably like a Series A, Series B, on the debt series. That would be for water, wastewater, and then we can use, bond council has said we can use our county street turn back, not the state portion, for paying the street piece. So there's a street one in here too, but they would have to bring that one back to you too, and that would be page 76. So you're not approving any capital in this per se, but Amendment 78 did go forward, so we will be paying for the Amendment 78 that you approved in the 2025 budget, the first payment. So, I'm just trying to think. I told you guys about the adjustment to the Bryant Parkway fees.
Where's that fall in here?
On the Parkway,
Yeah, because you said it was -2, and then it's,
yeah, hang on, I'll find it. Page 84 is what we call the non-majors, and 188 is the biggest of our non-majors. And it's down there where it says 1.7 construction on the bottom right. And it's in here. This is all of these, this is a summary of all of those. And that's also my check digit to make sure that everything in Tyler and the system that's in there now matches what I'm bringing to you guys for you to adopt in this document. So general fund is $4.66, difference between revenue and expenses. Street is that 2,600, water's 34, wastewater's 25, and stormwater's 324. But remember, I told you stormwater is so much to the good because they're rolling those POs over to spend the ARPA money. So they really don't have extra 324,000. It's going to be eaten up when they roll their POs forward. So they're at probably a break even right now. Maybe a little to the good, if I had to give it.
Nothing bad.
So, yeah. So that's a good question though, because I hadn't really pointed this non-major page out, and it's got a lot of good stuff on it. Y'all have any more questions on that one? Because it's kind of a good segue, because the next page is the major vendor list, and besides the budget in brief, which is like a little miniature version of the budget book, it contains all the same data, just more summarized. So I don't know that we need to separately talk about it, but it's just,
Make sure you guys saw
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's a great document. We'll put it up on the website. It's more of a high-level view, just to look at everything, big picture. But like I was saying, the next one down, the purchasing policy review and including the APPO quick guide, and then as it dovetails into this major vendor list, that was some of the stuff that I wanted to go over with you guys in a little bit more detail tonight, because I know we've had a lot of questions. So I'm trying to, one of the things I've tasked Nicole with and working in the purchasing manager position is to try, and when we bring changes to the purchasing manual, purchasing policy back to you guys probably in January, to make sure that the purchasing policy, the APPO quick guide, and this major vendor list in this budget book document all line up. So if we have something listed as like a single source or a sole source, or we bid it out, because at that point we don't have to finalize the budget document until 90 days after you adopt it before we submit it. So by that time, we should have our bids out for the beginning of the year, get that information back, and in this document, we could say who won those bids. So what I'm trying to do is kind of come full circle around with, okay, these are the items that we intend to do over 5,000 or 35,000 with these vendors. These are the ones we bid out, this is who responded, this is who got the bid for the year. You know what I mean? So do y'all like that approach? Any comments, changes, questions?
Sounds good.
Okay.
You don't think they'll put you in too much of a time crunch to try to have it?
It's possible, but we're gonna try. Most of the ones that most of the bids, we already bid out anyway, it's just Public Works did it, and Finance didn't have anything to do with it usually. So it's not like we're starting from scratch. So we're just gonna be involved in the process a little bit more, and if there's another department, like there was talk about maybe Parks wanted to piggyback off of some of the ones that Public Works did, I think we've since decided that they don't want to, because we thought about doing sod, for instance, we thought about doing fencing, but we really, at the end of the day, we were like, we're not even sure we're gonna make 35,000, so it's not really worth it to do it that way. So,
Would that prevent departments from choosing contractors that are not licensed, that don't have an active license,
well,
which apparently happened with the most recent debacle?
I think that's something we really need to add to the purchasing manager position. I would suggest that it be on items over $5,000, because that's what she gets in the system is items over 5,000. So I'm not going to say that it wouldn't happen on items below that, but we can
It
start.
wouldn't be as devastating.
Yeah. Mhm. So, I mean,
We just want to make it very clear, the expectation and what we're doing on the front end. So if there's any deviation from the plan, that's what we highlight. That's what we make sure you're in the loop about, so that you know the 2025 plan, we deviate from that, that comes back to you. Even, regardless of the amount, right? It'll come back in budget adjustments, highlighted in the mayor's memorandum, just make sure you know we're doing something different. We plan to do this, got into the year, had to pivot, and this is what we're doing. That's our goal. And even to start, not just 25, but looking into 26 and 27, so that we're further out than just reacting to the next year.
yeah, I mean, what we would love to do is to get those numbers for the capital piece on the reserve plan, and then, like I said, be able to put some stuff into investments, and have, like more of a 5-year out, real look as much as you could. I mean, you can't plan for everything, but a little bit more than what we're doing now, we've been able to do in the past. I mean, which we're doing more now than we did 5 years ago. So, I mean, I think it's a reasonable goal. So, okay, anything else on that one? The last two we have are pretty easy. The record destruction affidavit.
I don't believe it.
Come on, Jack.
Yep.
Was this notarized?
By Jack.
Jack notarized it?
Yeah.
What?
Is a notary.
But yeah, that all went according to plan. And then the capital purchases report, which we all love. Crystal is actually off on vacation. How dare she? But she did a great job. So, are there any questions on that report?
No, I have a question.
Okay.
So
I was 1 minute late.
what? Oh, motion to adjourn?
No,
So I'm looking at, so we now have all this beautiful yellow, there's a lot less green than when we started first of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at little projects on here, like replacing tile floor for the PD. It was passed in February. Are these,
If it hits a 5,800, which means we capitalize it, then she has put it on this report.
right, but it's not finished yet. There's no invoices.
It's been done.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let's see, where is it on?
It's on the first page.
White report now.
Yeah, under police. The only police item.
It's done. It was done a long time ago. It's been done for a few months.
Maybe we decided not to capitalize that one. Do you think that's?
I will mention, I did get council approval to do that.
I
Yeah,
know there's a resolution attached to it. That's how I know when it was done.
I bet what
Yeah,
happened
no,
with
it's
that.
finished, it's been paid for.
Yeah, I can ask Crystal what happened, but I bet you that what we did is we didn't capitalize it, so she probably took it off this list because we decided not to cap. Those things like maintenance are really hard, and it's I don't know if any of y'all remember, but 2 years ago, in the audit process, the auditors came and said, we disagree with this and this, that you capitalize or not capitalize, and so they had us change them. So, I mean, it's real, whether you do or you don't, it's kind of a judgment call. So,
Okay.
but I will look into that one. Any other questions on any of the other items?
Not really.
Okay.
I have one, but I'm waiting for another answer. So I'll ask you when it comes in.
Good stuff.
So you'll get another look at this in December. We had not planned a December budget workshop.
Yes.
Thank you.
Y'all don't want one, okay?
You don't want
I mean, I don't want to appear too excited, but.
If there's anything in the budget book, give you heartburn for 2025, holler, let's meet, let's talk about it, because the next time you'll see it is when it comes to you for approval. So anything at all. Other than that, there's nothing else budget-wise for 2025 that we have to present.
Good deal.
Anything else anybody has before?
Thanks for your hard work, Bill.
Good work.
I don't know,
On the budget, I love
I
it.
may have
I
an
know you
ask,
do.
and it's not, we used to get departmental reports kind of on a regular basis. And I'm tying it into some of this information that we've lost in the go-around. Look at maybe starting to do some, not every council meeting, but,
Sure.
Split up the department heads and don't want to have everybody doing something every month, but giving a report, split them up, do them every 3 months, have somebody each of the 3 months.
Okay.
What we
We
all
were-
look
Four
like.
separate departments.
We're,
Yeah, separate.
they're trying to give you
departments.
those monthly snapshots. In the mayor's memorandum, every department head writes one, so it's fine, I don't think they'd have a problem coming up and kind of rehashing that, publicly. So, if that's what you want.
Make it maybe better understood and more out in the open.
Okay.
Yeah, when we're done here.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion. Second.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.